Hey guys, Buffy Game Back today, bringing you a video, and today we're covering the Knights Armament Company SR-25 for our weapon conversion videos. We'll be converting the M4 platform, or the FTAC Recon, into the Knights Armament Company SR-25, firing 7.62 by 51mm in real life. So, go ahead, back out, we'll build the weapon up, I'll show you how to use it in-game against bots, and we'll take a look how it is here on the shooting range, and give my thoughts and opinions on how it handles in actual multiplayer as well. So let's go ahead and back out. And you can see here our final design for the weapon. So what we'll do is back out once more. Now again, you're going to want the FTAC Recon. If we look at the M4 platform here, you get the M4, and then by leveling that up, you'll unlock the FTAC Recon. This is going to be the closest thing we can really get to the SR-25. This here, it's firing the 4.58 SOCOM in the battle rifle category. In real life, the SR-25 or the Mark 11 or the M110 is firing the 7.62 by 51mm NATO round. However, we don't have it in this game, so this is pretty much the same conversion just about that we did in Modern Warfare 2019 for this weapon. However, this is much more closer aesthetically, at least. So we'll go ahead and back out here, go to another class here because that one seems to be bugged. So here we'll go to the FTAC Recon at base. Go ahead to the gunsmith. So the first option here is the stock option. We're going to want that classic M16 fixed buttstock there, the Demo Precision Elite Factory. This is going to give us the recoil control, with the cons being the ADS speed, crouch movement speed. And we'll go ahead and select that. Now for the optic, you can really go with any sniper type optic. I'm going to opt to go with the Luca scope here. This is going to give us a 3.7 to 8. This is a really good scope. You get close and pretty decent long range zoom with this, and it has a small sniper glint as the con, which is still a pro in my book. So the cons there: small sniper glint, aim down sight speed, aim walking movement speed. We'll select that. Skip out on the laser for the barrel option here. Now in real life, we would want a longer barrel, something around 24 inches is really what we would want, or at least a 20-inch. Now, unfortunately, we don't have that. The best we have here is a 419mm stock or barrel option here. So this comes to, I believe it's about 16 and a little bit over 16 and a half. So around 17 inches is where this is going to be. So the pros, but the handguard and everything is pretty close to what the SR-25 is, at least aesthetically. Now the pros here are damage range, hip fire accuracy, and bullet velocity, with the cons being aim down sight speed and hip recoil control. So we'll go ahead and select that. Muzzle device will go ahead and skip out. However, if you're going to swap out some attachments here, I would recommend putting something like a vertical or horizontal brake or a compensator on. Really helps this thing with follow-up shots from single fire. For the underbarrel, we're going to want one of the bipods here. I personally prefer the level aim bipod. This is going to give us bipod mount, with the cons being aim down sight speed. And last but not least, the magazine options. So in real life, like I said, the SR-25 fires 7.62 by 51 NATO. Here in this game, the FTAC Recon fires the 4.58 SOCOM rounds. So the options we have are the base 10. We have an extended 15 round. And we also have a 5-round magazine here. So we're going to go ahead with the 5-round magazine because this makes it look more like that. It has that straight 5-round magazine here. So it makes it look like a 7.62 by 51mm magazine that should be like a 10 stack. So this is, again, just for aesthetics. If you're trying for to play this in multiplayer, I'd recommend just staying with the base 10, and you can save an attachment slot there. But if you want to make it look accurate, you're going to want the 5-round magazine. Pros: movement speed here, aim down sight speed, sprint to fire speed, reload quickness, with the cons being magazine ammo capacity going from 10 down to 5. So we'll select that. There's our SR-25. Now for camos on this, you're going to want any sort of like a desert type look works for this one. Personally, I like the hidden snake, but I think what goes best with this is going to be one of the flat camos, that being the only one that I currently have unlocked, but again, it goes with the SR-25. These typically come in black or this desert type color, so clay really replicates kind of how the SR-25s come in one of their paint jobs. So this one, clay, is going to work out really well. To get this, you need 50 kills with the MCPR 300. And again, these flat camos just look amazing on this weapon. You can see how nice a lot of these ones look. So we're going to go ahead, and even that olive looks amazing. So we're going to go ahead and select the clay. We'll go ahead and select that. Back on out here. And this is our final design for the SR-25, the Knights Armament Company SR-25, also known as the Mark 11 or the M110. So if you're going to swap out any attachments here for a multiplayer, I think a more practical build for multiplayer would look something like, let me go back to this. Unfortunately, the private matches are still pretty bugged, so when I come in here to build stuff, it often has some issues. So something like a base stock, a base magazine would work pretty well. I still like this scope is still, I think, your best bet. And then for the muzzle, personally, I think you want some sort of a break on this thing, or even a comp. Something like this, the BVM works really well. And there was one that I found here, the XRK Kraken, works amazingly. And this one here will really help you keep that vertical recoil control down, especially when mounted. And this one also, the TA CG76 also works amazingly well. So any one of these that control your vertical and your horizontal, any of them, just because when you fire this thing, you do have more vertical than horizontal, because it is typically you're firing it in single fire. So that's kind of build I would go with, is for multiplayer, something like this. But let's go ahead and reselect kind of our options here. We'll go with a 5-round. You can see also the magazine options you have here, or excuse me, the ammo options. Let's go ahead now. We'll back out and just jump into the firing range really fast. Then we'll look at the recoil control. So here we are in the firing range. You can see we have the toggle. So 3 shots there. And you'll see when we get in game, it's typically going to be a 2-shot. Or even a 3 at longer ranges, so it works pretty well. So we'll go ahead, see if we can get this long guy here. Unfortunately, it does kick really hard, so it's going to be about a 3-shot kill at longer ranges. Typically 2 shots at close to medium is what it's going to be in multiplayer as well, where I tested it. Definitely, I would say this thing definitely struggles, at least with the build I was running. If you're trying to run it accurate like this, you're definitely going to struggle in multiplayer and ground war. I would recommend the multiplayer build that I showed off would be a better option for this build, to use it in actual gameplay, just because this, with the 5-round magazine, it's not very practical. And again, it just isn't the best weapon, because it is still a battle rifle category, so it's still going to take typically between 2 to 5 shots, depending on the range, and if you're using it in single fire. Now, the good thing is here we have the ability to go full auto, and full auto this thing is almost more useful than it is in single fire. However, not at those longer ranges, but you can see with a 10 or a 15 round magazine, this thing would work out really, really well in full auto. And I had a lot of fun with this in the beta as well. Let's go ahead and jump out and take a look at just the recoil control on this thing before we jump into the gameplay. Alright, so now that we're in game, let's just take a look at the recoil control here. Again, it's semi-auto, so it's not going to be horrible, but follow-up shots can be a little bit difficult. So let's go ahead and try this thing. I'll zoom in. Won't control it. So you can see there's straight vertical. If we try and control it, it's going to take a little bit to level back out to 0. You're really just going to need to tap it and not follow up too quickly, especially with the 5-round magazine. And then you can see full auto. If we go ahead to this wall here, maybe. Pretty much straight vertical, pulls a little bit to the left, but if we run up here, we can take a look at what the recoil control looked like. So again, not horrible, and if you're tap firing it enough, it'll be pretty on target. You'll see how it jumps here, or how it works here as we jump into the gameplay. Again, using it here against bots just to show it off. Now I may throw in some of the gameplay I had from Ground War. Again, this build just doesn't work really well in Ground War because of the distance of the engagements. However, regular multiplayer, it definitely works well. You can get away with it much easier in regular multiplayer, I would say, than you can in Ground War. If you're trying to do something like Ground War, you would want one of the builds that's going to give you more ammunition, and you're again going to want to put some sort of break on there or a compensator for those long-range follow-up shots, because that's where I ran into a lot of the trouble. Is by the time you hit 2 or 3 shots on the upper chest and even the head area at those longer ranges, they've already moved. So it does have a heavy vertical recoil, so you just can't tap fire as quickly as you could with this particular build. You might even be better off running something like a grip on this thing instead of a bipod if you really want to use it. Again, something kind of like the build that I would run in Modern Warfare 2019 for the weapon conversion videos, and even a Warzone build that I did for that would probably be pretty effective here as well. But the SR-25, again, this is a really nice weapon. I wish they gave us the actual SR-25, but the 4.8 SOCOM is a pretty interesting round here to see in game, and it makes sense that they brought this one back. So SR-25 is a designated marksman rifle, semi-automatic sniper rifle. Place of origin is the United States, developed by Eugene Stoner. This came out of basically the AR-10 project. The AR-10 was not selected to be equipped with the troops. I think the M14 was selected in the competition over the AR-10. So later on, Eugene Stoner joined up with Knight's Armament Company and continued work on this AR-10 platform, combining it with different things from the AR-15, and the result was what is the SR-25. So they made a bunch of enhancements there. They created the SR-25, and this thing was eventually adopted by SOCOM in the early 2000s, and was deployed typically by the U.S. Navy and the SEALs. Now, it's been in service since the 1990 through present, and the wars it's seen as the Afghan War, Iraqi War, Operation Enduring Freedom, etc. Some of those conflicts as well, minor conflicts. Designer Eugene Stoner, manufacturer currently is still and always has been Knight's Armament Company. The other names it goes by is the M110, which is basically an enhanced version of the SR-25, as well as the Mark 11, which the Mark 11 is what was adopted by the United States military, is what they adopted it under. They always change the name when they adopt them, so the variants here are going to be the SR-25 EM, or Enhanced Match. You also have the EM Carbine, and then you have the M110 and the Mark 11 Mod 0, 1, and 2. The mass of the rifle is going to be 10.75 pounds, or 4.88 kilograms. The length of the weapon is going to be 44 inches, or 1,118 millimeters, with a barrel length being 24 inches, or 610 millimeters. And then based on the other versions, it's going to go down to 20 inches, or 16 inches. Cartridge is going to be firing that 7.62 by 51 millimeter NATO, with the action of this weapon being a gas-operated rotating bolt, and the rate of fire is going to be semi-automatic in real life, so it does not have the ability to go full auto like we do here with the SOCOM rounds in game. And the feed system is going to be a 10 to 20 round detachable box magazine of the 7.62 by 51 millimeter. So that's the SR-25. Again, really nice weapon. I love this weapon. I think this was one of the videos that one of the weapons that Swag covered from my channel originally in one of his videos. When he was covering some of my weapon conversions, he used it in Warzone as well, and this is a weapon that I selected as far as for Warzone 1 back on OG Verdansk, the best DMR that you could build, or even over what was the M14 in that game and everything. This one was just a beast in that game, the way I would use it. That DMR video build was a great video. Got, I think, like 200,000 to 300,000 views. Best DMR in Warzone, and this is one of those weapons that is just kind of near and dear to my heart in this game. So I'm glad they brought it back. I'm excited to kind of see and play with different loadouts and how it handles in Warzone and DMZ. But again, you can't really use this build you see here. It's just not practical with the 5-round magazine or even the bipod. Just 5 rounds is not enough. So I would recommend, like I said, the base 10-round or ideally the 15-round magazine and some additional attachments there that make it more practical to use in a real game. However, in 6v6, you can probably get away with this build. But again, I would still highly recommend something like a vertical a compensator or a muzzle brake, and a larger magazine capacity as well. You can even throw a tack laser on there and get rid of the butt stock, and you'd have a pretty usable weapon. So we'll cover that again when we get into Warzone, and I'll cover it for a Warzone build. Let me know your thoughts down below. If you're enjoying the content, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Definitely helps out smaller channels like myself. All my links to social media, Twitch, Discord are down below in the description. And apologize for my voice today, guys. I'm a little sick, so should be back up and running with a regular voice here in a couple days. But let me know your thoughts down below on the SR-25. What are your favorite builds that you're running, and which modes for this weapon? Let me know your thoughts down below. Till next time, this is Buffer Gaming with the Knight's Armament Company SR-25. Till next time, Buffer Gaming out.
Copy. Knight 6-4 launching payload. MTV inbound.